2 years ago, almost to the day, there were some people in this room that I see that we met in my living room. And we tried to get together and talk about how we could stop this company from taking our land. Look at now. Look at this audience. This is amazing, the people that are here tonight. We have gone in 2 years from a handful of folks to now thousands of supporters. Thousands of people that are joining forces with us, stopping this pipeline. Thank you all.
Yeah, it was.
So we have had such great work happening. Landowners have been doing a lot on a campaign to protect their homes. The tribes have been doing a lot to speak out and stand in solidarity with other tribes. Environmentalists have been raising awareness of this issue, but we haven't had everybody coming together to work in parallel. So the purpose of the summit is to get everybody together so that we're all maximizing our efforts and supporting one another. Us together is greater than the sum of our parts, as opposed to running 3 similar campaigns separately without coordinating.
I've been a part of the Wisconsin Youth Network for about 2 years now, and with the rise of Line 3 in Minnesota, I think it was really important that we got youth here at this summit, just because it's lots of the, it seems like lots of the pipeline fighters are older folks, which is great, but climate change is something that affects younger generations, and I was like, we need to be here, and we need quite a few young people here, so yeah, that's why I'm here.
I'm a landowner, so I'm directly, Enbridge is directly affecting us. So if they go through with another easement, we'll lose a lot of land.
And so, as part of the Washburn County Lakes and Rivers Association, we're concerned about the safety of the pipes.
Well, the message is that we're all united, that we have this common goal of stopping this pipeline, and that while we have a great diversity of people here, and from different parts of the country as well, who have interest in protecting the environment, moving on to renewable fuels, property rights advocates, that we all share a common goal and that we should be aligned in our efforts. That's what we're trying to do here this weekend.
What kind of resources, what kind of organizations are out there, and how can we reach out there to engage them in the conversation? And so we find that breaking bread, sitting down and having coffee and sharing a meal is probably one of the best ways to begin to open up that dialogue and the question of what are we going to leave for our children, what are we going to leave for our children, our grandchildren in terms of jobs and education and healthcare, are the kinds of things that seem to me to be a theme down the middle of everything.
One of the biggest lessons that we learned on Keystone XL is that you have to do constant actions, not only along the proposed route, but also kind of in the big urban centers. A lot of these pipelines go through rural communities, and people can feel very disconnected from the fight. The other reason we do constant actions is so people build trust among one another. One of the biggest tactics that the big oil companies use is to try to drive wedges between all the different groups. So drive a wedge between environmentalists and landowners, or drive a wedge between farmers, ranchers, and tribal communities. But when we're out in the fields planting Ponca sacred corn in the route, building solar arrays inside the route, or all the other actions we do, we're building trust with one another and showing that we're a united front, this unlikely alliance that's going to stop Keystone XL.
Well, I think it's really important that there is that we maintain the connections that we have with each other, whether they're on individual basis or on advocacy or interest groups that have somewhat align themselves in terms of how they see the environment. So maintaining those networks are very important. Number 2 is hopefully down the line looking at strategies that have proven successes throughout not just Wisconsin but outside and even on the global level, in terms of how do we strongly advocate, how do we educate, how do we create awareness, how do we make this issue as important to us, to the average home in the state.
So I'm one of 13 young people, all under the age of 25, high school students, college students, grad students, recent grads, who banded together in order to ask a judge to grant us legal standing on the Line 3 tar sands pipeline case on the basis that we were going to be disproportionately impacted by the expansion of this pipeline. As the youngest generation and the generation facing a lifetime of climate-related catastrophes, we believed that we had a really direct stake in the expansion of the most carbon-intensive oil on Earth. And so we went before the judge just as individuals without a lawyer to represent ourselves and our rights and say that we deserved a seat at the table. And in an unprecedented decision, the judge granted us legal standing despite objections from Enbridge Energy, the largest pipeline company in North America. And starting next week, we're going to be in court presenting expert witnesses on the mental and physical health impacts of climate change, on the cultural inheritance and treaty rights of young people within our group, and on the long-term impacts that this pipeline could have on our generation, and going toe-to-toe with the paid lawyers of Enbridge in order to say that this pipeline is a terrible idea for Minnesota, for the world, and for our rights as the youngest generation.